right, everybody, can't wait to get into today's show. This is our Friday review, each and every Friday on the Cabral Concept. I love being able to bring you my favorite book review of the week, product review of the week. Sometimes it's health tech. Today, just healthy, the healthiest way to make your coffee. So I'm going to share with you that big tip. And I have 2 research studies that I want to be able to bring you. Again, it's not always sometimes for you specifically, but no doubt it'll be able to be used with a loved one, family member, or in your practice if you are an integrative health practitioner. So let's dive right into the show. I always start with my updates before I get to my reviews and my research. This week, of course, no different. Hopefully you've been tuning in over the past couple of weeks. I've been sharing with you all the developments with the Reimagining Health Summit, and now we already have about 2/3 of our speakers revealed. If you want to check out who those speakers are, literally the best in the world curated so that you'll be able to take away huge takeaways from the actual conference, plus meet other health-based minded people from all over the world inside of our health-based community. Meet my team, meet myself, actually speak with the speakers. Once they're done, you can do Q&As. We have live Q&As from the stage. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. Plus, you'll be able to try out the latest and greatest in red light technology, hyperbaric, IV boost, we've got cold plunge, we have sauna, we've got PMF, PMI, so many great things will be exhibited, and that's at the Reimagining Health Summit. Go to thereimagininghealthsummit.com. You'll be able to get your early bird ticket there now. All right, let's dive into the show. I love it. It is a Friday. I'm recording this on a Friday. One of my favorite things to do after the show, I actually get to sometimes pick up my daughters. That's what today's going to be all about. And then what they've been doing lately is as I go for my Friday run, because I always love to put in a hard workout at the end of the week on Friday to kind of earn the weekend, they've been riding their bikes with me. So it actually pushes me to a much higher and harder level. I love being able to do those things. I love being able to share those things with you because I'll be chasing after them on their bikes for about a 2.5, 3 mile run. And they're pushing me actually to my heart rate limit. So I'm tracking my heart rate. I only have a certain level that I'm allowing it to go up to. And sometimes they'll be behind me. Sometimes they'll be pace setting, but it's a lot of fun. And I actually can't wait to do that right after the show. All right, so let's go over the podcast recap from this past week. Monday's show is the 5 factors to find more happiness in your life. Hopefully you checked that out. I gave you a daily, a weekly, actually a couple per week, a monthly, and then a quarterly action plan as to what to do that I found in my own life to be actually, I would say, pretty phenomenal at being able to just stay present and also have things to look forward to. You can't do all of your favorite things necessarily every single day, but you can absolutely schedule them for once a quarter, no doubt about it, and maybe even once a month. So I go over kind of how to look at those, how to look at the framework, how to prioritize those. So that was Monday's show, episode 3027. On Tuesday's show was the cover-up names for artificial food dyes. Don't miss that because on the back of your food products, on the back of your beverages, they no longer have to list the Red 40. They can call it a different name like Allura. Well, I give you all of the different food sensitivities, the reds, the yellows, the blues, and green, and more. So check those out. That was, all of these shows are always at stephencabral.com/podcasts. You can just go there and you can find all previous shows. Wednesday's show was how to activate more brown fat to burn more body fat. This is important because as we get older, we may not have this thermogenic based fat, which, believe it or not, burns more calories, heats up the body, improves circulation. I gave you some new research on that. Great ways to burn more body fat. And then, is hydrogen water good for you? I don't think that I've gotten on any particular topic more questions over the past, let's say, 6 months than on hydrogen water. Over the past, let's say, 18 months to 24 months, I've looked into hydrogen water. I spent my time, did a lot of research on it, put in a lot of hours, finally decided I'm going to test this out. Over the last 4 months, I've been testing it out. I share those results with you. And that was yesterday's show, episode 3030. All right, but today's episode 3031, for all of today's show notes, head on over to stephencabral.com/3031. We're about to get into a product review of the week. Many of you will know of this way to make coffee, but believe it or not, some people don't. Some people are still using plastic coffee makers and putting boiling water in them. We don't want to do that, right? So when we're making coffee, ideally, we are using a glass-based vessel. It's one of the best ways to do it. So I will tell you, sometimes I drink iced coffee. Sometimes I drink regular hot coffee. It's always, for me though, now this has been a number of years now, always half decaf, half regular. That's how I make my coffee. It cuts down on the caffeine, but I still get all of the antioxidant benefits and all of the polyphenols. Well, what is the way that I prefer to make it? All right, two ways, believe it or not. There's two ways. The first way is with a Chemex. And this is the one that I want to share with you here today. Many people will know this, but I'm going to share with you exactly how much coffee to use and the best filters to use. So here's the thing. This is a simple beaker. It's literally a glass beaker, and they make different sizes based on the amount of coffee you would like to consume. So this is really a single serving. If you want an 8 to 12 ounce cup of coffee, this is a single serving for that. And what you're going to do, and again, this just looks like a glass beaker for anybody not watching on video, and it has a nice little wood handle, so because it gets hot. It's just glass with a little bit of like rawhide rope tied around it. We've been using this for years and years. You can actually see the kind of the stain on the bottom. I believe this is German made. Now, there are many different takes on this. So for example, when I was just in Costa Rica, they had something called I'm going to mispronounce it, and I wish that I had thought about it before the show, Bandolero. If anybody knows exactly the name for it, feel free to pop it in the comments. Here's the issue. They're painted, and although I love them, I think that they're phenomenal. One, they don't keep the heat as well. They're made from terracotta a lot of times, but again, they're pretty phenomenal. They do aerate it even better, but the issue is I'm just worried about that paint seeping into my coffee because anyway, I just wanted to share that with you, but I think it's great, and there are a lot of great things used from native-based people. So what I'm putting in right now is just a brown filter. So it's the Chemex filter. Why am I using this one? This is the unbleached one, and you don't have to get it just from Chemex, okay? So the reason why I'm sharing this with you, so it's very simple. You just put it right in the top, okay? That's it. You're gonna put your grinds right in the top. Don't go with bleached. If you use a white filter, you're going to get potentially any of the bleaching-based agents still in that filtered paper. So that's kind of a public service announcement there. If you already have the white ones or family members too, here's how to dissipate some of those chemicals. You want to pour the water in before you ever put the grinds in. So you have your boiling water, however you're going to make it. Pour that in, get it all over the filter first, let it soak through, then throw out that water. And then that's a good way to get a lot of those chemicals out first. My suggestion, unbleached, and you're just gonna pop that right in. Now remember, if this was a huge Chemex, you could just pop the whole thing in, no problem, it would fit right in. For mine, I do a small fold, I put the grinds right in the top, and that's it. Now I shared with you, how much grinds should you use? Well, two things, and I've taken a few coffee classes in my life, and that is because whatever I'm into, I dive in deep. That's just who I am. And so met with some master roasters, how long to roast the beans, what happens when you roast them too long, what's the perfect consistency, talking about honeying the coffee, basically leaving it out to actually with the cherry, the outside, the fruit on it first, and letting that be in the sun, not just for 2 days or so, but 5 days. It soaks in a lot of the sweetness, the natural sweetness. But again, I could go on and on. But what you're going to do, these are the two coffees I use by Equal Life. Feel free to use your favorite brands. These are organic, mold-free coffees. This is part of our partnership with Purity. So these are great coffees, but they're whole bean. That's what I wanted to bring to you. Whole bean coffee is going to be less oxidized and contain more of the antioxidants, and you want to grind it if you can right before you make the coffee. This is turning into like a whole coffee episode. So why don't I do a whole coffee episode for how to make the healthiest coffee in the world another time? I've got a bunch of podcasts actually on the best types of coffee machines as well, so I'll link that up at 3031. But the bottom line is this: to make that perfect coffee, no chemicals, clean beans, grind it if you can right before you're about to put those beans in. And how much grinds do you use per water? It's about a 15-to-1 ratio, 15 to 1. That means for every 15 mLs of water, it's about 1 gram, or about that, of coffee grinds. So let's make this easier, at least for us Western US-based people. It's about 1 tablespoon of grinds for every let's say 3 or so ounces of water. All right, let's make it even way easier. How much are you going to use? 1 cup of coffee, because I like to give you like what I actually use. 3 tablespoons of grinds. So your coffee grounds, 3 tablespoons for every cup of coffee. It's that simple. So if you make an 8 to 12 ounce cup of coffee, 3 tablespoons, that's the perfect amount. If you feel it's too weak, it's the coffee itself. That's like the coffee itself isn't high quality. That's one of the things that I learned during this coffee class, is that if you need more grounds, well, you don't have probably a good quality coffee. That's the truth. So good quality coffee, about 3 tablespoons per 8 to 12 ounces. You've got yourself the perfect cup of coffee, no chemicals. Try out the Chemex, and I'll bring you the other machine that I use. It's, believe it or not, I think it's actually also German as well. And Germans make great coffee. I've been to Germany, been to Baden-Baden for the World Medicine seminar a few years back, World Medicine Organization. But anyway, I want to share that with you. They're coming out with a new model. And once the new model debuts, I'm sure I'll bring that to you. No doubt about it. All right. Book review of the week. It is called The Circadian Code. The Circadian Code by Sachin Panda, PhD. And he's got an interesting background. So grew up in, I believe, and again, please forgive me if I'm misquoting, rural part of India. Made his way to, I believe, then the UK and then the US, went from agriculture, studies in agriculture and agricultural-based genetics, to then human biology, and then specializing in the circadian rhythm of humans. So fascinating. It's called Lose Weight, Supercharge Your Energy, and Transform Your Health from Morning to Midnight. So here's the nice thing, and it's funny because obviously, as a board-certified doctor of naturopathy, I've been studying and teaching this for quite some time. I love a book on it. I don't think that I've ever seen a book just on the circadian rhythm. We talk about the circadian rhythm in the rain barrel effect. I talk about it here, of course, on the podcast. And so this is a book with lots of science backing up why really there are no night owls. We humans are meant to get up somewhere between like 5 to 7:30 in the morning, depending on the season. We're meant to go to bed a few hours after the sun sets, so usually somewhere around 10 o'clock or so at night. We're meant to sleep for about 8 hours. We're meant to eat for about anywhere between 8 to 12 of those hours, right? And so it's very fascinating because in the Ayurveda and all these forms of medicine say, stop eating 3 hours or more before going to bed. Backs it up with the science, actually goes through. If you were to move that meal to your breakfast or earlier in the day, and all things being equal, including total calories, it still helps with more weight loss, better health overall. And that's because the systems of your body are actually meant to turn on and do certain things at certain times of the day. Talks about exercise. That's probably like, if I had like one new takeaway for me, was actually that exercise between 3 and 5 o'clock at night is actually beneficial. So it's when our body concentration starts to go a little bit lower for work. But in terms of performance, great hand-eye, great output. Also improves glucose tolerance. So then when you're having dinner, you absorb that better, the food, the carbohydrates better. And the reason is that typically glucose tolerance isn't as great at night. So fascinating book. Here's the one caveat. I want you to be careful with this. And I know that whenever you work with a publisher, that's why I used to work with publishers. I no longer work with publishers. I just self-publish because I want to make sure that anything that I want in the book is kept in the book. Anything that they want to put in the book is not put in the book, right? Like, so, because every publisher has their own agenda, and you need to sell the book, right? Here's the thing. There's no one thing that's a panacea. By going to bed at the right time, waking up at the right time, eating your meals at the right time, exercising at the right time, all of those things are crucial. I talk about the rhythms of nature in the body all the time, and I believe in it. But saying that you don't need then, relaxation, you don't need to, follow, let's say, a good healing protocol. If you have high cholesterol, high blood sugar, any of these things, you can't just resolve it just with eating at certain times of the day. I mean, I would love to say it was that easy. It's one part of the equation. So just kind of read that read the book with a grain of salt when it's like all of your ails could be solved with the circadian rhythm. Now, having said that, that is no shade on Sachin Panda. I thought the book was fantastic. He's extremely intelligent, and I know that I'm not trying to put those words in his mouth, and those are not his words either. So I just want you to know that this is one part, right? Every book is meant to solve all of the world's ills. This is a big part of that. Living within the rhythms of nature is so important. Good book, given a recommendation. All right. That is that. People always ask me, what other health books do you recommend? There are 5,000 now IHPs, 5,000 integrative health practitioners. It's amazing. There are over 100 health books recommended inside of IHP. So also, as you're making your way through the IHP material, you'll see a few books that call out to you. They're not required reading, but you might want to check those out as well. And you can find out more about IHP at integrativehealthpractitioner.org. One, you can find out how to become a certified health coach. If that interests you, learn how to heal yourself, heal others, or you can find a practitioner, and they're at integrativehealthpractitioner.org. All right. Next up, first research study for the day: sleep in children may lead to, meaning poor sleep in children, may lead to mental health imbalances in young adulthood. Now, these studies are brand new. This study came out yesterday. Okay, literally yesterday, out of the University of Birmingham. And this is the summary. Children who experience chronic lack of sleep from infancy may be at an increased risk of developing psychosis in early adulthood, new research shows. So I'm going to link up this study for you. I'm just going to share a couple excerpts from it right now, because I think that this is, extremely important. Because here's the thing, that we don't always know whether our kids are sleeping all that well or not. Sometimes we're not necessarily asking, so I'm going to link it up for you. I'll link up this at stephencabral.com/3031. I want to give you some signs though. If your child is displaying ADD, ADHD, if they're having mood-based disturbances, they have no appetite in the morning, they might be snoring at night, they may just look tired, they may be groggy, really groggy for the next hour after waking up. All of these things can be signs that they are not getting the sleep that they need. Now, for one, some kids just aren't getting total hours that they need. Young children, so children really need 10 hours of sleep. That legitimately, they need 10 hours of sleep. And so in order to get 10 hours of sleep, you need to be in bed at least 10 hours, right? So if a child's going to bed at, 10 o'clock at night and has to wake up at 6 for school, well, they're getting 8 hours of sleep maximum. That's if they fall asleep right away. So it's so far off. So our kids really need to go to bed by 8 o'clock at night if they're waking up at 6:30. Really important. I know it's not easy, but it's so important for their overall mental health, not even just physical recovery, mental health as well. So what can we do? Let's try to follow the 3-2-1 sleep formula for both children and adults, right? I have a whole podcast on that. I'll link that up at 3031 as well. 3-2-1 sleep formula: stop eating 3 hours before bed, drinking 2 hours before bed, 1 hour before bed, no blue light. If it's kids, you might not be able to stop the eating 3 hours before bed. It might have to be 2 hours before bed. I get it. I understand that, but just doing the best that you can. That's really what it's all about. All right. Last research study for the day. This one, I love this one. Whenever I can bring this in, I want to bring this in. But it is cardio fitness. So aerobic-based fitness cuts death and disease by nearly 20%. This was out of the University of South Australia. Groundbreaking new research finds that an increased cardio fitness level will reduce your risk of death from any cause by nearly 20%. So that means all-cause mortality. Any reason you could die, beyond accidents, of course, things like that, all the major causes of death decreases by a fifth, right, by 20%. Pretty remarkable. This was out of, let me just grab this for you right now, in case you want to look this up, but of course it'll be on my site as well. This was the British Journal of Sports Medicine. It was called Cardiorespiratory Fitness is a strong and consistent predictor of morbidity and mortality among adults. An overview of a meta-analysis representing about 21 million observations and 199 unique cohorts. That's not 199 individuals, it's unique groups. So basically 200 groups of people and 21 million overall. Pretty remarkable. Here's what they said. This is it. Specifically, we found that every 1 MET increase in cardiorespiratory fitness, which is the amount of energy used when sitting quietly, reduced the risk of early death from any cause and heart failure by 11 to 17% and 18% respectively. For most people, a 1 MET increase in cardiorespiratory fitness can be achieved through a regular exercise aerobic program. So basically, MET is just measures of energy, units of energy used, but let me put it to you this way. So when you're asleep, it's obviously very low. Sitting on your couch, just a little bit higher. Working in your desk, a little bit higher. Going for a walk, a little bit higher. Doing then aerobic-based cardio, so not weight training in this particular scenario, aerobic-based, and getting your heart rate up to zone 3, zone 4, zone 5, can be absolutely fantastic for improving all-cause mortality. Best way to do it, in my opinion, is just a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Pick your schedule, 3 days a week, and trying to work in the different zones of cardio, but at least one of those days, 20 minutes or so, maybe a little bit more if you can, of upper end cardio that you can maintain the pace, push the pace of your cardiorespiratory system and your level of fitness, but slowly over a period of weeks. Don't hurt yourself. Don't go all out. The goal is over a lifetime, can I keep my aerobic-based threshold higher to improve circulation in my body, improve the immune system, and so much more. So whether you're looking to fight off cardiovascular issues, blood pressure issues, diabetes, Alzheimer's, or cancer, absolutely need to be adding in aerobic-based training into your program. Some of it can be zone 2, and some of it's going to be upper level where you're really pushing yourself as well. So that can come after you get your fitness level up, but it is one of those fountain of youth-based formulas that you want to add it in for as many minutes as you can per week. Don't overdo it, don't overtrain, but 3 days a week, 20 to 30 minutes per clip can be absolutely fantastic for your overall health. Hopefully this was helpful. All of the research, all of the product reviews, the book review will be at stephencabral.com/3031. Have an amazing start to your weekend. I'll be back tomorrow with our Cabral House Calls. Take care. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything. Functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.